Hello dear friends and subscribers, welcome to the Cricket Happening Show today. In this Cricket Happening Show, we are going to look at three matches. As we all know, we are looking into the third day's play in the test match. First is between, it's a second day's play, I'm sorry about that. It started on Boxing Day, so second day's play in the third test match between Australia and India, where Australia continued to pile on runs, and it only frustrated the Indian bowlers, as not only Stephen Smith, who became the first captain to actually score 2 centuries in 2 test matches on the trot, became the first batsman in the annals of test history to do so as a captain of the team. And not only that, look at the company that he got. Brad Haddin contributing 55, Johnson making 28, Ryan Harris picking up his career best test score of 74 runs, and it was really sad to see that Stephen Smith, who thoroughly deserved a double century, was walking back to the pavilion after making 192 runs with 15 fours and 2 sixes. And India at stumps finished on 108 for 1, and I'll be looking at the day 2 in this test match, which was played at the MCG. And also, as far as Sri Lanka and New Zealand were concerned, well, Sri Lankan bowlers did a pretty good work, and pretty quick work at that, because as you know, the other day New Zealand were roaring with Brendan McCullum's very punishing innings of 195, but it was pretty good work by the Sri Lankan bowlers, especially Suranga Lakmal and Angelo Matthews, who finished off this New Zealand innings for just 441. So that was a good job, 441 all out. But Sri Lanka, they continued. Now it was the turn of the New Zealand bowlers to show their real class, as Tim Southee and Trent Boult continued to really keep on pounding the Sri Lankans, and the Sri Lankans were all out for 138. They were forced to follow on, but following on, Sri Lanka did a good turn for themselves by racing 84 runs without a wicket being lost at close of play on the second day of the first test match of the series. And sadly, as far as the South Africa and West Indies were concerned, rain really played spoil sport. Only probably 6 overs were possible through the entire day on day 2, as the only good thing that happened as far as day 2 was concerned was du Plessis went on to register his 4th test century, but he was also gone as he was snapped up by Ramadhin of the bowling of Taylor after making 103 with 13 fours and 2 sixes. Amla was not out 23, De Villiers was not out 9, and South Africa 289 for 3. That was the end of the day 2 there because of rain, very unfortunately. So West Indies would be pretty happy that rain really stopped play, because otherwise they would be really looking at a huge score, and at least West Indies now have some breathing space here since rain has come to their rescue. Well, so I'm not going to talk about that match. That match is something not of much consequence, because as I said, there was not much play. Only 6 overs were there, and du Plessis registered his 4th century. Okay, let's head off towards the MCG and see what happened. Well, yesterday it was the Australia, as I said, honours were even on the first day, but in the second day definitely Australia took the honours, as they kept on piling the runs from 259. They started at the overnight score with Stephen Smith and Brad Haddin in the middle. Well, one was probably thinking that Brad Haddin is going to be severely tested. We saw that he was ducking and swaying the other day, but today it was a different Haddin. He came up with lots of determination, despite Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the Indian captain, having a leg gully in position. He had a square leg, and he actually really tried to throttle Haddin into really attempting a false stroke. But Haddin was pretty smart for it. Not only he was smart, he was also brave, as he took on the Indian bowlers and hit some beautiful boundaries as he started hooking them and pulling them. The short ones were not left out today. There was no ducking, there was no swing. It was all sailing into the fence, and Brad Haddin's confidence suddenly started increasing as he played one imperious stroke of the bowling of Ishant Sharma, just stood over there and slapped him into the fence for a boundary. In fact, it was a 6 that was hit by Brad Haddin, and Brad Haddin put him over the fence for a beautiful 6, and that made the score really gallop. In fact, Stephen Smith was playing second fiddle. He was really taking his time, but as and when he got an opportunity, he was beautifully, he went after Mohammad Shami, who came in for some severe tap, as he was carved for runs, as he was hit for 3 boundaries in a single over by Stephen Smith. And suddenly the Australian innings was galloping when both were at the crease, and the score had reached, I thought it was, the score had reached 326, so it was a nice little partnership which yielded 77 very good runs. But the good thing was that Brad Haddin came into some form here, as Brad Haddin, after a long, I would say after a pretty long time, got on to the 50 mark, and what a relief that would have been for Brad Haddin. And after that, Mohammad Shami, who was really spraying the ball in all directions, finally found the edge of Brad Haddin. Now this was a delivery where Brad Haddin was in actually 2 minds whether to leave the ball or not, and finally he decided that he's going to leave the ball, but it was too late by then, as the ball actually took the under edge of the bat and nicely snuggled in the gloves, nicely went into the gloves of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the wicketkeeper, and Mohammad Shami had given the breakthrough for India, and Haddin was gone after making 55 with 7 fours and 1 6. After that, Mitchell Johnson came in to join Brad Haddin, and Mitchell Johnson, well, he was only a brief stay at the crease, but the way he played, he was pretty confident with his stroke making, as he really hit some nice strokes to make 28 runs of just 37 balls with 5 boundaries before Ashwin had him coming down the wicket, and Dhoni behind the stumps stumped him, and he was gone for 28. But as far as Stephen Smith was concerned, well, as I said, there was nothing that Stephen Smith could do wrong. In fact, he had gone on to his century in fine fashion, and Stephen Smith, once again looking at the skies, probably this was something that he was looking at, probably Phil Hughes, as Stephen Smith Stephen Smith was looking, I would say, irrepressible at that stage. He was simply unstoppable. He was really toying with Indian bowling. Once Mitchell Johnson was gone, that was another partnership of 50 runs with Mitchell Johnson, and then walked in Ryan Harris, who actually came back into the team. As you know, more for his bowling than his batting. He's not considered an all-rounder, but today Ryan Harris showed that he could be considered an all-rounder. What strokes he played! In fact, we saw a phase where runs started really coming in torrents when Ryan Harris and Stephen Smith were at the crease. What a partnership that was! And 105 runs partnership for the 8th wicket, and really frustrating the Indians, who would have probably thought they could pretty much wrap up the tail. But I would say it was Stephen Smith and Ryan Harris having other ideas, and Ryan Harris played some very wonderful strokes, and he was looking good. In fact, he also hit one very good 6 of the bowling of Ashwin, but Stephen Smith was simply severe on Ravichandran Ashwin. He was taking him in the fill and smacking him for 4s and 6s, and I thought the majority of the 6s that Stephen Smith hit was of Ravichandran Ashwin, and both of them in this 105 run partnership was a really rollicking partnership, one could call. 105 runs were raised in pretty quick time, and the Australian score was sitting pretty at that moment at 482 for 7, and Ryan Harris went on to make his career best test score of 74 runs with 8 fours and 1 6, and Ryan Harris, trying to actually sweep a delivery from Ravichandran Ashwin, was trapped LBW for 74, and that was the time probably the Australian spectators were really waiting for a Ryan Harris century there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, as Ashwin actually trapped him LBW. So number 8, the wicket number 8 gone with the score on 482. Even after that, there was nothing that the Indians could do. Nathan Lyon threw his bat round to make 11 runs with 2 fours, and he was trying one too many, as Mohammad Shami aimed at his stumps and clean bowled him for 11. But Stephen Smith now was left with the task, and that was the time when Nathan Lyon was at the crease. Stephen Smith was roaring like a lion. He understood that now it is the time for him to really play some strokes. We saw that innovation, and one of the strokes that really impressed everybody, even Mohammad Shami would have been probably stunned by this, because he was actually, it's a pace bowler, and Stephen Smith, as I said, right now could do nothing wrong and everything could go for him well. He actually tried to, he was on the front foot, he was trying coming down the wicket, and then he had a forehand smash of the bowling of Shami for a boundary, and then he reverse swept him for a boundary, and Ravichandran Ashwin was also really taken apart by Stephen Smith, and finally it was all going on well. Josh Hazlewood walked in, and that was the time Stephen Smith had decided that he is going to really go for the Indian bowling, and he actually tried to ramp up the scoring by he wanted to get to his double century, which was really something that he definitely deserved, but in doing so he actually tried to scoop a delivery from Umesh Yadav over the wicketkeeper's head, but perished in that action as the ball went on to hit the stumps. And Stephen Smith, what an innings he played. He was bowled by Umesh Yadav for 192 with 15 fours and 2 sixes. Josh Hazlewood did not even face a ball, but I probably thought that Stephen Smith could have really waited and given some strike to Josh Hazlewood just to see how he could actually tackle. We saw that he did a good job in the previous test match. At least I thought that Stephen Smith could have gone on to hit a double century. As I said, he truly deserved it, and that would have been his maiden double century in Test cricket. As I said, he truly deserved it. But well, it was all over. Australia were all out for 530, and look at this Indian card, which does not make it makes miserable reading, one could say, as Ishan Sharma 32 overs 7 maidens, none for 104. Umesh Yadav 32.3 overs 3 maidens, 130 runs from 3 wickets. Mohammad Shami was the most successful wicket taker, 29 overs 4 maidens, 138 runs from 4 wickets. He got some severe tap from the Australian batsmen, especially Stephen Smith. Ravichandran Ashwin 44 overs 9 maidens, 3 for 134. And Mohammad Shami, we saw that he was straying towards the legs of the Australian batsman, and that was really proving pretty costly for Mohammad Shami. He needs to really improve upon that. Ashwin 3 for 134, I thought bowled well. Murli Vijay 5 overs for 14. Now India were given 37 overs to face before close of play, and Murli Vijay and Shikhar Dhawan were doing the good things. They were really playing very watchfully, and they raised 55 runs between them, Murli Vijay and Dhawan. Murli Vijay was very clear as to where his off stump was, so he was continuing very well, and he went on to make a 50. But India were when the score reached 55 for India, it was Australia who drew the first blood for the team, and this was done by Ryan Harris, as Ryan Harris had Shikhar Dhawan edging into the slips, and Stephen Smith took a smart catch, and Shikhar Dhawan was gone. Cott Smith bowled Harris after making 28 with 3 boundaries. Murli Vijay was playing some very good strokes. He was looking confident, and he was joined in by Cheteshwar Pujara, and the partnership continued and saw to it that India will close at 108 for 1, with Murli Vijay not out 55 with 5-4. This is his 4th 50 in this test series, and Cheteshwar Pujara was on a compact 25 with 2 4s. India 108 for 1, a firm reply there to a score of 530 all out from Australia. And as far as the Australian bowling was concerned, Mitchell Johnson 9 overs 3 minutes, none for 24, looked sharp. Ryan Harris was the wicket taker, 7 overs 3 minutes, 19 runs and 1 wicket, bowled very well. Josh Hazlewood 9 overs 4 minutes, none for 19. Shane Watson 4 overs for 14, and Nathan Lyon 8 overs no maiden, none for 32. So that was the match situation. So for Australia, well, they would be hoping that they could get some quick wickets tomorrow. The ball is pretty old, but in the morning view factor might come into effect, and very essential that this pair of Murli Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara tries to get as many runs as possible, so that the other batsmen could get into the comfort. For India, the first thing that they would have in their mind is to get to the 330 mark to avoid the follow on. Well, so that is as far as the second day's play is concerned. Now we are heading towards Sri Lanka, heading towards New Zealand at the Hagley Oval, where, as I said the other day, we saw the mayhem as far as the first day's play was concerned, when Brendan McCullum went on to shatter all records and made that belligerent 195. But nothing of that sort today could happen, as New Zealand were really, I would say, that was something. I mean, they started at the 429 for 7, their overnight score, and they folded up for 441, thanks to Angelo Matthews and Suranga Lakmal, who really went through the 3 wickets pretty quickly. It was Tim Southee who was caught by Tirumani of bowling of Matthews for naught. Neil Wagner was caught by Kaushal of the bowling of Lakmal for 4, and then Trent Boult was a victim of Lakmal. Mark Craig, the overnight batsman, was not out on 12, and that was it. So New Zealand innings. So Sri Lanka did a good job there, I thought, not allowing the New Zealand tail to wag, and they were all out for 441. The bowlers, as Lakmal was the one who really picked up the wickets. 19.5 overs, 3 maidens, 90 runs and 3 wickets, and the Sri Lankan captain Angelo Matthews, 12 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 39. Now Sri Lanka started their first dig, replying to the score of 442. Karunaratne and Kaushal Silva walked out. Trent Boult and Tim Southee were having the new cherry in their hands, and it all started off with Trent Boult starting the Sri Lankan debacle, Sri Lankan demise pretty early, as first he actually got a ball which actually swung into Karunaratne, and Karunaratne was gone. LBW bowled for a duck, as Boult dealt a triple blow to the Sri Lankans early on, and the next person to go was Kaushal Silva, who was not actually offering a stroke to a ball that was really zooming in, and Kaushal Silva was also gone. LBW bowled for 4, and then a very big wicket for Trent Boult, as Kumar Sangakkara, who normally plays his cover drive to absolute perfection, today he was trying to shaping for the cover drive, but the cover drive didn't really materialize, as Kumar Sangakkara was caught as the ball was moving away from Trent Boult, and it was Tim Southee in the slips who snaffled the catch, and Kumar Sangakkara was gone for 6. And as I said, Boult had dealt a triple blow to reduce Sri Lanka to 15 for 3 at that stage. After that, there was a semblance of respectability when Tirumani and Matthews, Angelo Matthews, the Sri Lankan captain, the reliable Angelo Matthews, slowly pushed on the score to 58, and then it was Tim Southee with his outswingers getting rid of Tirumani. Craig bowled Southee for 24, and Angelo Matthews was there. Now he was really watching something happen at the other end, as Tirumani was gone. After that, Tim Southee dismissed Neeraj Dickwala pretty quickly for 2, but Angelo Matthews was playing very well. He was doing his job, and he was playing with lots of responsibility, and it was very good to see that Angelo Matthews was trying to hold the fort for Sri Lanka. But other than that, Prasanna Jayawardene also disappointed, as Neil Wagner picked up his wicket. He was gone for 10, the 2 4s, and then it was the tail which was exposed, and that was the time Angelo Matthews tried playing a stroke, but perished as he was caught by Latham of the bowling of Wagner, after being the first person from Sri Lanka to hit a 50 in this innings, as Angelo Matthews was gone for 50 with 3 4s and 2 6s. And well, the score read 105 for 7 when Angelo Matthews departed. After that, it was pretty quickly done, as Nisham picked up the wicket of Damika Prasad for 18 with 3 boundaries. Kaushal, it was Tarindu Kaushal, the debutant, who was out for 6 with 1 4. Lakmal was sent back to the pavilion by Nisham, and Shavinda Aranga was not out on 10, and Sri Lanka folded up for 138. So 138 all out Sri Lanka, thus conceding a 303 runs first innings lead to New Zealand. Well, the bowling, as I said, Trent Boult with his in-swingers was absolutely deadly. 11 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 25 for him. Tim Southee, 12 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 17. His stock ball is the ball that goes away from the batsman, the outswinger. He got 2 for 17. James Nisham, I thought towards the end really chipped in. 6.4 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 28. Neil Wagner bowling aggressively, 11 overs for 60 runs, but he picked up 3 wickets. 2 overs for 5 for the right arm offie, Mark Craig. Now, as far as Sri Lanka were concerned, they were made to follow on 303 runs in arrears, and well, it was initially we saw that Karunaratne and Silva had really learned their lessons in the previous innings. They really buckled down to the task, and they knew that it was very important for Sri Lanka to put up a good opening stand, and that's what they are trying to do. 303 runs in arrears. Karunaratne and Kaushal Silva slowly chiseled together a partnership of 84 runs in 35 overs, with Karunaratne looking very good. Kaushal Silva, as I said, is a dapper batsman. As I said, he's one of the future test batsmen for Sri Lanka, no doubt about it. Keep a watch on Kaushal Silva. As I said, he has admirable technique. He plays in copybook fashion, and well, he's a wonderful player to watch. And Kaushal Silva was unbeaten on 33 with 5 fours, and Dimuk Karunaratne, the left-handed batsman, was not out on 49 with 6 fours, and they saw off the day for Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka finished at close of play on the first day after following on at 84 for no loss. As far as the bowling was concerned, Trent bowled 7 overs 2 minutes none for 16. Tim Southee 7 overs 2 minutes none for 11. Neil Wagner 11 overs 1 minute none for 37. Mark Craig, the off spinner, 7 overs 2 minutes none for 12 for him. 2 overs 1 minute none for 4 for James Neesham, and Brendan McCullum 1 over no maiden none for 3. So Sri Lanka, I thought they definitely did well in the second innings. The openers have done a good job. They need to continue the good work because they still have a long way to go. Another 219 runs still separates them before making New Zealand bat again. So there is a lot of work, lot of hard work to be done for Sri Lanka. But definitely, I would say, the Kaushal Silva, the opener, and Dimuk Karunaratne have done a great job. Well, it is going to be interesting. The ball is pretty old. It's already 35 overs old, and one has to see whether Karunaratne and Kaushal Silva can continue in the same vein to really build up a very strong foundation and ensure that Sri Lanka definitely make New Zealand bat again. But well, Sri Lanka definitely have lots of batting to come, especially considering the Kumar Sangakkara is yet to come. And we all know that this is the first test that Sri Lanka is playing without the great batsman who has retired from Test cricket, Mahela Jayawardene. Well, now before I am going to end this cricket show, I have to give you some breaking news, and this breaking news is coming in from Pakistan, which is not at all good according to me. I'm sure the Pakistani fans would be disappointed. Well, I'm also disappointed because he's one of those great bowlers, Saeed Ajmal, the red-arm spinner, who has been tested for a suspect action. We are told that he had to go for some remedial action. Till now, the action has not been proved illegal. So that's the reason. And Saeed Ajmal has decided that he's going to opt out of World Cup 2015. It really comes as a real shocker, but unfortunately that is the case because Pakistan Cricket Board does not want to risk Saeed Ajmal, whereby if at all say for example if he comes into the World Cup and then again he goes for a test that the action is illegal, then Saeed Ajmal would be in trouble. He would be banned for 2 years from any cricket, and that is not something that Saeed Ajmal wants, and that's the precise reason Saeed Ajmal has gone for the safest mode, where he has decided that he won't be taking part in the World Cup. He has done it voluntarily. He has written to the Pakistan Cricket Board in a voluntary manner and told them that he won't be a part of the World Cup 2015, which is pretty sad, because I thought Saeed Ajmal has been a part of many a success as far as Pakistan are concerned, and I think World Cup 2015 is going to rob everybody of the delight of seeing Saeed Ajmal bowl. It's a real treat to watch Saeed Ajmal bowl, but very unfortunate due to his suspect action still not being deemed illegal. He has to still wait for some time. Very unfortunate, but well, on this unfortunate note, your host Ram would like to end the Cricket Happenings show for today. Thanks for your company and thanks for regularly watching Cricket Happenings. This is your host Ram signing off this on a Sunday. Thank you.